NPHC is known as the National Panhellenic Council, also referred to as the Divine Nine. The NPHC serves as the governing body for the Divine Nine, the 9 organizations that make up the body. Some of the more, practical purposes of the NPHC in terms of its organizations is to serve as an educational, economic, and just an overall empowerment body for communities all across the nation and globally, especially communities that might be financially poor or communities that might consist of a lot of people of color. I think that's one of the things that students can learn is that if there's a problem or some type of concern within the local community that students might have and they want to work towards some type of change within their local communities, learning from the individuals who have been members of organizations within the Divine Nine can serve as a great starting point for them in those endeavors.
It's crazy how much we know about the university in terms of it being a grounds for a lot of the civil rights, not the entire civil rights movement, of course, but like the stand in the schoolhouse doors, Bear Bryant, and kind of like addressing diversity on the football team. Even, I don't know if you're familiar with, but like the burning of the cross in front of our sorority house and things like that. Like there's so much in just that short span of time. It's really not that long ago, and to see how much we've progressed from that to have a Black student magazine on campus and have it be led by people who are, I guess, in a way related or descendants of those events, I think is something like super, super special. And I think that it's kind of indicative of just kind of our mission, making sure that everything that we do, we're not the last person to do that, and that through our sorority, we're able to not only uphold the institution in the sorority regard, but also in terms of the magazine itself and how similar they can be in that way. And just sharing in the Blackness that it embodies is basically like making sure that our house still stands, that we're able to still be active on campus, as well as making sure that 1956 always has this office, is always able to come out with issues twice a year, and things like that is super, super important.
I'm very familiar with Senate Bill 129. It's definitely impacted my work as a professor here at the University of Alabama. And so what I think Senate Bill 129 is largely designed to do, I think is largely designed to chill the work that the NPHC has played a very instrumental role in being a part of, such as change as it pertains to Black people, communities, and folks that are financially poor. And so I think it's designed to kind of make organizations with the purposes that the NPHC have kind of reconsider and rethink if they want to engage in that work. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is that a lot of people are reconsidering and rethinking, and they're stopping instead of reconsidering, rethinking, and then strategizing how we can continue the work of our organizations and the important work that involves what could be deemed as divisive concepts. So I think that's largely what it's designed to do, is to chill the work that I think really needs to be done, and the work that the NPHC has kind of led at the forefront in doing.
I think it's not necessarily a battle, like you said. You want to make sure that you're being mindful of everything that you do because of the passing of these DEI bills. You want to make sure that we're acting in accordance with everything that the university and the state wants us to do to ensure that the house stands forever, because I've met sisters from back before my mom crossed who told me about all of the hardship that they went through to make sure that the house stays. Essentially, back in, I don't want to get the time frame incorrect, but somewhere around the 80s on campus, every D9 organization that was present on campus had a house, and the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated had their house underneath what's now demolished, and I believe it's like a paid to park parking spot underneath the overhang of Bryant-Denny Stadium. And I don't think they're the only sorority that house was removed there. I think it was just us and Lambda Zeta that had a house, but the Deltas did have a house. Everybody who was on campus had a house, but now it's just us and the Alphas have a house.
Just strictly anecdotal from an observation standpoint, from when I was here as an undergrad to now being a faculty member here, I can see more Black students on campus. However, I do question what some of those students are engaged in as it pertains to some of the issues that I see, or some of the things that I would deem issues within modern society that I think are impacting them. So I really don't see much going on that side of the house in terms of Black students and organizations responding. I think Black students are here, but I think they are largely chilled by some of the legislation that we've seen both at the state and the federal level.
It's different because we have to host our events different places, like the intercultural, I think it's Intercultural Center now, it's no longer it was the IDC, Interdiversity Cultural Center. Yeah. Making sure we're conscious of where we're hosting our events, making sure that we're public, front facing, and everything that we do is super important. Events like Onyx that are kind of it's because they're university funded. So things that we do are internally funded and we crowdsource funding for all of the community service things that we do. But in terms of like performing at Onyx, it's up to whether or not the university wants to continue to fund that, or however the Black Student Union is able to fund things like that. As well as like the STEP show is hosted by the university. So if they decided to defund it, then there would be no STEP show.
So I'm very optimistic and I'm very pessimistic about the future of the NPHC and Greek letter organizations. I'll start off with what I'm pessimistic about. So I pulled a report today from the New York Times, and it came out a while ago, but I wanted the exact statistic regarding the number of Black men that we are seeing entering college. And so if you look at Howard University, and I think Howard is a very, very great measuring stick regarding a pulse of what's going on as it pertains to Black students and Black folk in particular. This past spring at Howard University, Black men only made up 14% of the student population at Howard. And we're talking about Howard, the mother of HBCUs in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. And so that's quite concerning for a couple of reasons. I think the reason as it pertains to the NPHC, if we don't have Black men enrolling in college, then we're probably going to see a very, very slow but certain eradication of Black Greek letter fraternities. So that's very, very concerning. Another thing that I'm pessimistic about is some of the things that I'm seeing related to Senate Bill 129 and some federal laws that has restricted or deemed, I personally think, being Black as divisive. I think that's what the laws have been doing. And so I'm pessimistic about how that might impact the work that I've read about the NPHC doing, the work that I've done personally with the NPHC, both with members of my fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, and members of other organizations, both fraternity and sorority. So that's concerning. How are we going to respond to that? But I'm optimistic about the fact that we have the blueprint. So we have the blueprint regarding how we can use our organizations on a grassroots level to incite change. Like we have that documented in the literature, and so I'm very optimistic about that. I think it's just going to take the NPHC sitting down as a whole, thinking about how is it that we can use our organizations today to respond to some of the changes that we desperately need within this modern context.
I think that within our own community, like how all the D9 organizations interact with each other, I think we're super tight knit, and unfortunately we're down one, so we're technically Divine 8 here. We don't have IOTAs, unfortunately. But in terms of how we interact with each other, especially since the turning, there's always some sort of friendly competition, friendly rivalry. The STEP show is coming up this Friday, so we always want to, we're the best sorority, we want to win, or they're the best fraternity, they want to win. But it's all in friendly competition, because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we have each other's backs, especially on a campus like UA that's constantly under scrutiny based off of things like DEI and things like that.
Once again, I want to reiterate knowing the history of the organization. I think that is extremely important. And I think that's something that has been lost, or is definitely not at the forefront of the NPHC at this present moment. So I would definitely say knowing the history and living that history and implementing that history in a modern context that adds value, that would make our ancestors and elders proud.